The first person the first two people we're gonna see is our first editor, Kelly Borales-Saylor. She's the editorial director of Sourcebooks Explore, the children's nonfiction division of Sourcebooks. She has acquired and published numerous books throughout her career, everything from board books to young adult fiction. Most recent bestsellers include P is for Pterodactyl, the worst alphabet book ever, The Complete Cookbook for Young Chefs by America's Test Kitchen, and the Baby University series featuring books by Chris Berry, such as Quantum Physics for Babies. Kelly was born and raised in the Chicagoland area. When she's not making books, she's taking care of her son until he goes to bed, and then she drinks Prosecco and watches 90 Day Fiancé and all of its spinoffs, as we all do. Kelly will be interviewing Raj Haldar, better known by his stage name Lush Life. Raj is an American rapper, composer, and producer from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's also the #1 New York Times bestselling author of P is for Pterodactyl. You can connect with him on Twitter at Lush Life Media. Take it away, Kelly and Raj.
Hey guys.
Hey everyone.
Hi, it's so nice to be here with all of you. I'm Kelly Borales-Saylor, and other person I'm speaking with is Raj. How you doing, Raj?
I'm doing great. Just weathered a tropical storm here in New York City where I am at the moment, and the weather's a little bit nicer today. So excited to be here.
That's good. So speaking of P is for Pterodactyl, why don't we talk a little bit about how did that idea come to you? Where did that even originate?
So, like all great ideas, started in the shower. I had just the kind of like lightning strike about the idea for a silent letter alphabet book in the shower at one point. This is like maybe several years before things started to actually come together in a meaningful way. And so, but I immediately, I remember jumping out of the shower and logging onto my computer, and it was the kind of thing that seemed like it could have been done a million times already. So I did some quick research and was surprised to find out that nobody had done an alphabet book about silent letters. But then it took another year or two, and I happened to be talking about the concept with my friend and co-author Chris Carpenter, and he really took to the idea. He's a very clever dude, and so we created a Google document, and for a few months we started populating a list of silent first letter words for each letter in the alphabet. And what started to manifest was a universe of gnomes and czars and psychic pterodactyls, and it became pretty apparent that there was implied a very rich world for kids. And so we started to pursue the concept, and having never, I spent my adult life as a rapper producer and had no connection to the publishing industry or children's books. So it took quite a long time to go from, concept to the point where the book was out there in the world, almost 2 years. But ultimately we're so surprised by how the book was embraced.
Yeah, I was surprised too, just that there wasn't anything else out there like this. Even when the submission came in, it was something that I'm like, surely there's got to be something else out there. There has to be, and there wasn't, or if it was, it wasn't particularly called out in that way. So I thought that was like super fresh when that came in. And your submission, Raj, was hilarious. I remember getting it and I kept coming back to it. Like, it was as an editor, you've got a lot of things to do every single day. And I kept coming back to it to read it because it was making me laugh so hard. It was really fun. It was a really fun submission. And when I had to pitch it to the rest of the company, it was something that other people got right away. And I can feel like people laughing throughout the building as I was talking about it, and it was just clicking. But what was interesting is it wasn't necessarily clicking when we were pitching it outside of the building. Once we started pitching it to retailers, except for the indies. That was one of the coolest things that we noticed right away, was when we were pitching this to retailers, the independent booksellers and the librarians picked up on it right away. And that's where our biggest support was. It was incredible for everyone to embrace it that way, because when the book sold out within like the first week of printing, the indies had copies, and that's where we got to send people. That was like the really cool, fun thing about it. But Raj, you were talking about being a producer and a musician. How did that, like, how did the publishing process, was it matching producing process, or what were the similarities? Did it feel like we were writing a song together?
Well, a rap song has a lot more words than a picture book. But
That's fair.
I will say that there's some part of the process was familiar to me. You know, I've spent a decade plus, you know, taking creative products and bringing them to market. And, you know, my demographic has been like 18 to 34 in the past, and now it's like 8, 3, and 4. So that shift was sort of, there was a learning curve. So I think, and Kelly, you touched on this, and I sort of really leaned in even from the very beginning with the idea that this was very humorous, this concept, and I guess when we were pitching the book and we first started working together, that was the kind of mode of thinking. But quickly I realized that, you know, there is this very real educational component, and that there's a long editorial process to ensure that kids can get something of value out of the book from an educational standpoint. And so that was all very new to me, and I really kind of enjoyed, you know, and I just became a dad a few months ago, but
when we're like the cutest baby ever, by the way.
Thank you. She might wake up during this, but we got her down for the duration, hopefully. But if you hear any crying, that's who it is. But in any case, I wasn't a parent and didn't have too many kids around me at the time that we were putting Pterodactyl together, and so I had to kind of reach back and think about what kind of a kid's book would have been engaging to me as a kid, and that is one that sort of highlights how absurd and interesting the world can be. So beyond being about silent letters, P is for Pterodactyl kind of takes you on a globe-trotting trip to Djibouti, to all parts of the world. And by the way, having done so many readings of this book, I've realized that I can definitely get a laugh every time I get to the D page and it says D is for Djibouti, kindergarten for it. But so yeah, it was the educational side of it was something that I really enjoyed diving into, but was a very new thing for me, because, you know, as a musician, you're just kind of writing to be completely expressive, and there's no other motive. And so both with Pterodactyl and with the upcoming title, No Reading Aloud, I've really enjoyed leaning into having a real depth of education beyond the words, but also a cultural sort of breadth to the series.
So how did the idea and inspiration come for the new book, No Reading Aloud, the worst read aloud book ever?
Yeah. So yeah, the new book's called No Reading Aloud, the worst read aloud book ever. And from the title, you might imagine we have gone down the rabbit hole with homonyms, homophones, and tricky punctuation too. And so we spent a lot of time thinking about what made P is for Pterodactyl really engaging to kids and adults, and, you know, sort of went viral, and we wanted to understand why that was before we decided on the concept for the next book. And the thing that was sort of clear to me was that just the cover of P is for Pterodactyl and the title communicated a sort of word nerd vibe that everybody engaged with, that wanted to share the cover on Facebook, on some of these viral posts and stuff. And it sort of it made me realize that there's this word nerd inside everybody, young and old. And so we wanted to go kind of deeper into that universe and really sort of activate that word nerd inside all of us again. And so No Reading Aloud, like I mentioned, is about homophones and homonyms, and I think we've taken it to such an absurd, extreme, confusing degree that will be hilarious for kids to read. I've started doing some readings of the book, and the concept, I have a copy here. So the concept is basically each spread has two very distinct scenarios, but the phonetic sentence that goes along with each sounds the same. So here on the left page, we have the New Delhi clerk runs a pretty sorry store, and we have kid, his first job at the bagel shop, and the bread is sold out, and our gnome from P is for Pterodactyl is stealing some. There's a bird running away with some bread. But yeah, the New Delhi clerk runs a pretty sorry store. And over here, halfway around the world, we have the New Delhi clerk runs a pretty sorry store. And we have this gentleman in New Delhi who is showing his saris, garments that are worn by women in India, to a little girl here. And, you know, I think from Jump Street, I was very excited about the concept, but until the illustrations started to come alive, it didn't really sort of dawn on me how powerful the sort of setup would be, where like you can now, with these beautiful illustrations from Bryce Gladfelter, you can just read the two sentences, and a lot of the homophones and homonyms, you don't need to go back and look in the glossary. You really sort of just get the meanings sort of telegraphed from the images themselves.
This is Valerie. Really quick, I just want to keep us on schedule. Kelly and Raj, thank you so much. This was so awesome. Shelly, by the way, says congrats on being a new dad. Kelsey loves this book. Britt Hopkins says this is her favorite panel. And Shelly also says it's hilarious. So thank you guys so much. And Kelly, Raj, I'm going to say farewell to you for now.